Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 420 area code. I'm Sheldon Baker, and we've got another great guest for you today. Joining me on today's show is Christopher Lackner. He's the co-founder of Jeng CBD-infused beverages, and those beverages are designed to deliver flavor and experience. At least that's what the company says. So we will have Christopher join us in just a bit, but first we're going to take a break and hear these important words.
Not all hemp oils are created equal. Let Verdant Oasis show you why. Verdant Oasis is a vertically integrated hemp-centric raw material grower, manufacturer, and supplier. We oversee every step from soil to oil. Verdant strains are genotyped and registered by government-regulated seed banks. Our operations are HACCP and GMP certified by SGS International. Verdant Oasis has the most comprehensive global safety dossier for hemp extract, setting the benchmark for FDA acceptance and NDI compliance, the gateway to the food and beverage industry. Our hemp oil ingredients are accepted and authorized by the FDA, USDA, and DEA for interstate commerce throughout the United States. In the UK and EU, our extract is authorized as a novel food. Wholesome and pure, backed by science, legally compliant, and fully integrated with a dedicated innovation center to serve your unique marketing objectives. To learn more about the Verdant difference, visit our website at www.verdantoasis.com. Verdant Oasis, the essence of hemp.
We are back, and my guest today is Christopher Lackner. Chris, welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Well, it's great to be here. Good to talk to you again.
Thank you. Thank you. I think when I saw you last, your beard, I think, got a little longer.
Well, the COVID beard continues until COVID ends. So.
Indeed, I know how that is. I just recently cut my hair, so on my head, the little that I have, but I understand. So you started Jeng Beverages, and it's an alcohol-free CBD hemp cocktail.
Correct. Yeah, we are an alcohol-free, hemp-infused, ready-to-drink cocktail company. What we do is we basically replicate classic cocktails that we all know and love. The gin and tonic, the Moscow Mule, and the Paloma are our first three beverages that are out. All have zero alcohol in them and instead have 11 milligrams of CBD. And so, what we get and what our consumers enjoy is the fact that you get some relaxation without intoxication, and you get to experience the true cocktail experience that we all know and love and don't want to leave out if we move to an alcohol-free lifestyle.
Yes, I've got my can right here. So thank you very much for sending some over.
No problem at all.
What was the motivation behind developing the company and the product?
Sure. Well, it was a crazy time a couple of years ago, and my friend and I, an old college friend and I, were talking about the state of what the CBD industry was doing and what the hemp industry was going towards, et cetera. And we had talked about how most of the CBD beverages that were out there were mostly delivery devices for the ingredient. So they didn't have a lot of taste, or if they did have a taste, it was a little off-putting, and it was kind of like a take your medicine kind of strategy when it came to the consumer. They wanted the CBD, and so you almost had to fight through some of these seltzer flavors to get the cannabinoids that you wanted. On the other hand, it was also happening in the alcohol sphere. There were a lot of drinks out there, a lot of these hard seltzers that were largely indistinguishable from each other, and they seemed to be like alcohol delivery devices, largely tasteless or unpleasant tasting. And so my friend John and I, John Einhauser, fellow co-founder, we're big cocktail fans, and we were saying, if there's a real opportunity here to kind of recreate some of these classic cocktails without the alcohol. And instead of going toward that 0-calorie seltzer angle that a lot of the products were doing. Let's go for a full flavored, true cocktail experience, one that has everything that you enjoy in a cocktail: the flavor, the effervescence, the mouthfeel, the challenging flavors, the front and the back, as they say in the wine industry, etc. And so, we spent a fair amount of time developing a couple of flavors. As I said, we have a Moscow Mule, we have a Paloma, and then we have a gin and tonic, which we call a jeng and tonic. And they're being very well received. A lot of folks, from all age brackets are enjoying them because a lot of folks are recognizing the benefits of having CBD in their routine. And more importantly, a lot of folks are really turning toward alcohol reduction in their lives.
And I have a ginger juniper lime here, and I've been enjoying
that's the
that.
Moscow Mule.
Yes, this was one of your first flavors, if you will.
Right. And I think the can that you have there is one of the, before we had actually branded it as a Moscow Mule, we were kind of dabbling with the flavor profiles first, and I think you have one of the last cans that actually doesn't say Moscow Mule on it. So I assure you that the next cans that are coming out will say it all over the place.
So this could be a collectible and worth some money someday.
Absolutely, huh? Yeah. You and 18,000 other people.
Very, very good. So beside tasting great, what two words or what words come to your mind when you think about your product or you tell people about the product? What do you say?
No, that's a great thing. And our point is the experience. Front and center, we want to recreate the cocktail experience. And, and I was just writing an article about this. A true cocktail, the alcohol has, plays a role, but it is not the overwhelming part of the cocktail experience. Cocktails are meant to be shared. They're meant to be discovered. It's supposed to, there's depending on what you're drinking, there might be some mystery to it, or it could be mystery like a mojito if you've never had a mojito before, or if you never had a Paloma before. It could be comfort like a gin and tonic that you remember drinking back in your 20s or 30s. It creates a feeling, it creates a memory, it creates a conversation, so we emphasized that in our branding and marketing, and we emphasized it in the product itself, that these are drinks that are meant to be shared, that these are meant to be, I always say considered. Like, you want to be the guy that's like, smell this, now taste this, now stick it in front of your friend's nose and make them do the same thing. That's the cocktail experience for me, and with beer as well. You want to be excited about it. You want it to be a journey, and we hope that our cocktails are doing that for their customers.
I'm certain they are. So how many flavors, and is that the correct word, flavors, or how do you refer to it?
Depending on how it's how many. I guess how many. Yeah, we'll say flavors. Flavors is fine for our discussion here. So we have 3 different cocktails. How about that?
Very good.
We have, as I said, the Moscow Mule, which is our flagship product that you're enjoying now. Now that's a juniper, ginger, and lime based drink, replicating a Moscow Mule, or more technically, a gin-based Moscow Mule, which some people call a London Buck. We also have a Paloma, which is a grapefruit-forward drink with some hints of rosemary and a little bit of sea salt. And then we have, as I said, our gin and tonic, which we call a jeng and tonic, which is that classic going to the, sitting out on the beach or, on the backyard patio drink that, everybody knows and loves.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. So it seems like, from what I've read, that the CBD beverage industry is expanding. What's your take on that? Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. What we are seeing on a larger scale is a big expansion of the alcohol-free category. The idea of being punished by being sober, those days are long gone. The old joke of, well, here's a club soda or maybe a Diet Coke if you're not drinking. The alcohol-free beverage space is exploding with innovative technologies, with new flavor combinations, and as we say, new ingredients like CBD are providing people with true legitimate alternatives to alcohol, so that they're getting that relaxation, or they're getting that feeling of community or fun, without having a hangover the next day. And so we see CBD drinks as being a big part of that. The technology around CBD and beverages is constantly improving. For those who don't know, CBD is an oil, and anyone who has had a chemistry class or tried to make salad dressing knows that oil and water don't mix. And so you need an emulsifier or a surfactant to combine the two. And so, the technologies to create that emulsifier for the CBD molecule are continually improving. And that's allowing for drinks to be, clearer, tastier, and then also have the CBD get introduced into your body a lot more efficiently. Mm-hmm. And we're also seeing, with the advancement of CBN and CBG, for instance, which are minor cannabinoids that are found in the hemp plant. Those were historically very hard to find or in low supply in any given hemp plant, but they're figuring out ways to breed the plant and maximize the harvest of those cannabinoids. So in addition to CBD, I think we're going to see other of these other cannabinoids coming into the fore and being introduced into beverages as well.
Sure, but like so many other companies in the industry as a whole, do you find that education is a must for your potential audience?
Absolutely. There's always a fear of the unknown, and CBD is, flies under this weird regulatory gray area. So there's oftentimes a lot of confusion about its safety and its efficacy. There's limitations to what we as producers can say without, falling afoul with the FDA. But really what it is, there's a couple things that are in play. Is that one, that the CBD industry, and I find this when I talk to friends and family about our product, folks are organically becoming aware of CBD, whether it's through their own networks of people or, what they're finding on the internet. But, I think the idea of CBD is really not as daunting or not as foreign as it used to be. I think it's really coming into the mainstream. We just finished the holidays and there were no shortage of people that I was talking to, and they're like, oh yes, I use CBD for, my arthritis, or I've, been consuming CBD in tablet form for, years or whatever. And so the idea of introducing a CBD drink isn't entirely that foreign for them.
Indeed, yes. So as co-founder, as one of the head honchos, what keeps you up at night when you think about your company and you think about growing your business and making sales and doing all those kinds of things?
Well, it's interesting. A couple of the biggest challenges that our industry, every industry is having right now is supply chain. Something as simple as getting a truck from point A to point B can take an overwhelming amount of your mental headspace as well as your time. We see these inflation, it talks about inflation as well, and we're seeing some of that in our ingredient pricing as well. But yeah, so those kind of keep you up at night. Thankfully we have CBD to kind of help us relax. But, the other thing is kind of more of this existential idea about, where the regulatory path to victory is for CBD. Right now, the FDA is yet to create a firm regulatory pathway for the product. And so that means that the states have been doing it on their own, which means that the state health department or in New York might have a different opinion on how to label a can compared to Ohio. And so, we have a state-by-state patchwork of regulatory issues that we need to be mindful of. And obviously that's always a little nerve-wracking as you do your day-to-day. But I do think that, my biggest hope is that, FDA is going to come up with some regulatory clarity this year. There are several bills that have been introduced into Congress in the past, 10 or 12 months. I think most recently in December, there was another ubiquitous CBD legislation, the CBD Product Safety Act or something like that. They all have the same names. It's CBD Consumer Protection, So we're hopeful and fingers crossed that, some substantive legislation is going to, or regulatory pathway is going to be created this year to open up that marketplace. And that's going to do a couple of things. One, it's going to obviously make it easier to do business, but it's also going to give consumers the confidence that this is a regulated industry, and it's going to kind of weed out some of the bad actors that continue to play an outsized role in our business. Not our business, but the industry.
I think the entire industry has their fingers crossed. Absolutely. We're going to take a short break here, and we'll come back and hear more good words from Christopher Lackner of Jeng CBD Beverages. But first, we'll hear some other good words. So don't go away.
Not all hemp oils are created equal. Let Verdant Oasis show you why. Verdant Oasis is a vertically integrated hemp-centric raw material grower, manufacturer, and supplier. We oversee every step from soil to oil. Verdant strains are genotyped and registered by government-regulated seed banks. Our operations are HACCP and GMP certified by SGS International. Verdant Oasis has the most comprehensive global safety dossier for hemp extract, setting the benchmark for FDA acceptance and NDI compliance, the gateway to the food and beverage industry. Our hemp oil ingredients are accepted and authorized by the FDA, USDA, and DEA for interstate commerce throughout the United States. In the UK and EU, our extract is authorized as a novel food. Wholesome and pure, backed by science, legally compliant, and fully integrated with a dedicated innovation center to serve your unique marketing objectives. To learn more about the Verdant difference, visit our website at www.verdantoasis.com. Verdant Oasis, the essence of hemp.
And we're here talking to Christopher Lackner, the co-founder of Jeng Beverages, the one I've got right here, in the old collectible can.
That's right. Very good. Very nice.
So, you have quite a distinguished background in the political world. I guess a lot of it, tying into hemp, but you've consulted with various different political leaders, and you've also worked for a large extraction house in Colorado. So you really bring a lot to the table when we talk about CBD, hemp, cannabis.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting. Hemp is an interesting plant from every angle that you look at it. From a farmer's perspective, from a business person's perspective, from an engineering and technology perspective. But from a public policy perspective, it's absolutely fascinating. This is a plant that has been around for however many thousands of years. That was one of the foundational fibers, in the country. The old adage that George Washington grew hemp. This was a textile and an important aspect of how this country evolved, and then it was suddenly vanished. Because of for political and policy reasons, and then it's been essentially regenerated in the past 5 or 6 years, most significantly with the passage of the 2018 Farm Bill that regulated hemp, which they defined as the cannabis plant with less than 0.3% THC in it. And so, from a policy perspective, and for me, from a professional perspective, diving into this industry that has there's no policy framework, there's no for a large part, there's no political understanding of it. It's like we've got it and we don't know what to do with it. There was this period in time where they were putting CBD in everything from, earplugs to pillowcases. I remember one of them was that you would sleep on the pillowcase and the CBD would magically seep into your cheeks or whatever. And so, from a policy perspective, it's absolutely fascinating. And the way that this product and this, the derivatives that come from the hemp plant are seeing bipartisan support is fascinating. Republicans and Democrats support a lot of the legislation that's out there. From a national or from a population perspective, something that 60 some odd percent of Americans want to see cannabis legalized, and that's being the same thing. It kind of ushers in this whole idea of everybody's in favor of it, so why isn't anything happening? And so, from a public policy perspective, it's absolutely it's absolutely funny to see and exciting to see how this is evolving, and the weird hurdles that we have to go through to get this widely recognized and well appreciated product into a mainstream format.
Sure, and certainly, I'm reading a lot of the same journals. Certainly, you are, and whatever else inroads that you have within the political system. It does surprise me that we can't get this across the finish line, both CBD and cannabis products. Virtually everything you read about it or hear about it is positive. Of course, there are those who are going to say that they're negatives, but I guess that would be the same in any industry and with any products.
No, absolutely. And, there are some challenges that the industry and the product is facing, but those are largely created by the regulatory stranglehold that the product and industry is in. FDA says that we do not have enough scientific evidence to make a determination on this, and yet they're not accepting any scientific, they're not recognizing it as a food or as a supplement, and so they're not entertaining any research. They're looking for 10-year longitudinal studies on stuff, and the product has really only been grown since 2018.
Sure, but
there's a lot of bizarre hurdles that come with a brand new industry that just seemingly pops up out of nowhere.
Sure, but do you think if you get a company like Coca-Cola or some major manufacturer who has a lot of money they can put out there, and they go to the federal government and say, we want to have Coca-Cola CBD. I would think that you might see some changes happening.
Yeah, and I think you and I talked about this last summer, where it was the stevia scenario is what we talked about, where the supplement industry back in the day was very big on stevia, and it was kind of going nowhere until one of the big soda producers wanted to get involved, and suddenly it became a diet, a food additive without any really big issue. And I think that's what's going to happen here. I think that there needs to be some kind of critical mass. I always frame it like, there's this giant, imagine just a big pool, a big swimming pool. And there are all these folks that are sitting with their, dangling their toes in the water, but nobody wants to do first would jump in. Yeah. And I think, we've got, folks like us, like Jeng and some of our competitors who are, comparably, very small compared to Coca-Cola, that are swimming in that water. But none of those big CPG guys are ready to jump in. Everybody wants to be the second one. Everybody wants to be the next one to jump in right after the first one. Sure. But I don't think anybody wants to be the first until there's any assurance that there's going to be no backlash. Obviously, the corporate structures and the way that those big companies think and act are much different than, more nimble entrepreneurial companies like ours. But, we certainly need them to lead the way in this case. I don't think we're going to get a meeting with any senator's office anytime soon. I think it's going to be up to the Cokes and the Pepsis of the world to make that happen.
Sure. I would think you feel the passing of AB 45 in California was a positive step forward.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. California does a lot of great things. They create, they're one of the largest economies in the world. They drive a lot of the consumer safety and consumer-based decisions that the rest of the country ultimately ends up following, from cars and, pollution, et cetera, to the passage of AB 45, which regulates CBD as a food and dietary supplement. We hope that, that kind of eases the anxiety of, other states that are, looking for it. Other states can look to that regulation to emulate it, but we're also hoping that they'll see that, California hasn't fallen into the sea because of this legislation. And, maybe it makes sense to employ it across the country.
Yes. Okay. We just have a few minutes left here. Somebody wants to get into the CBD business, or wants to, if not start a business, just get into the industry. Are there opportunities?
Absolutely. If you are an entrepreneur and you have any amount of risk tolerance in you, this is a very easy industry to get into. The barriers are relatively low. Right now, with the exception of a couple, large companies, and there are, several of them out there, but, it's still largely a mom and pop or small business enterprise situation. So, if you have an idea or some way to, kind of build a better mousetrap from a CBD perspective, the opportunities are certainly there. The industry is still young. It's very collaborative. And I feel like, I've been in it for several years now, and people recognize me kind of as one of the old guard at this point. And I'm like, yeah, I've only been in the industry for 5 years or 6 years. So,
yeah.
So it's there. But I mean, this is just like any other industry out there. There's good actors and bad actors. And so I think that, somebody that wants to join in or with a company, just kind of do your homework and read up on them and if somebody's promising pie in the sky, take that with a grain of salt. But, whether you're an engineer or a lawyer or a farmer or some public policy guy, there's a place for you. Come on into the pool.
Very good, very good. So Jeng is available to order from your website. You're in a few major markets in the New York area, the Chicago area. Where else can we find it?
Yeah, so first and foremost, you can go to our website, which is sipjeng.com, SIPJENG.com, and you can have all three of our flavors available there. I want to make it very clear, if you buy 3 of our 4-packs, free shipping. So free shipping for any order of $60 or more, that would add up to 3 4-packs of our product. We are big in New York and can be found all over Lower Manhattan, Brooklyn, and the Hamptons. And we're making waves in Chicago. We actually just recently partnered with a distributor there, Oath Distributing, and they're going to be handling our product throughout the Chicago region. We're up to about 26 stores now, or 26 retail outlets between stores and restaurants. So most recently, Foxtrot, which is one of those newfangled companies that delivers to your door in 15 minutes or less. They have a ready supply of Jeng should you want to start your dry January outright.
Very good. Congratulations on your success, Chris.
Thank you.
Great having you join us. We've been here talking to Christopher Jeng. He's the co-founder of Jeng CBD Beverages in the great state of Colorado. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Appreciate your support, and we will see you next time.
Thanks so much.
Not all hemp oils are created equal. Let Verdant Oasis show you why. Verdant Oasis is a vertically integrated hemp-centric raw material grower, manufacturer, and supplier. We oversee every step from soil to oil. Verdant strains are genotyped and registered by government-regulated seed banks. Our operations are HACCP and GMP certified by SGS International. Verdant Oasis has the most comprehensive global safety dossier for hemp extract, setting the benchmark for FDA acceptance and NDI compliance, the gateway to the food and beverage industry. Our hemp oil ingredients are accepted and authorized by the FDA, USDA, and DEA for interstate commerce throughout the United States. In the UK and EU, our extract is authorized as a novel food. Wholesome and pure, backed by science, legally compliant, and fully integrated with a dedicated innovation center to serve your unique marketing objectives. To learn more about the Verdant difference, visit our website at www.verdantoasis.com. Verdant Oasis, the essence of hemp.